Hey, another day, another improvisation, but today I have the tablet with me to analyze what we are going to debunk today, which is materialism and idealism. Let's start with materialism. Materialism is what 99% of you believe right now, that the major aspect of reality is matter. But let's see what Wikipedia has to say in order to be more precise. Materialism holds matter to be the fundamental substance in nature and all things, including mental states and consciousness, as a result of material interactions. According to philosophical materialism, mind and consciousness are byproducts or epiphenomena of material processes without which they cannot exist. Okay. Let's hold it right there. We think that matter gives rise to consciousness or experience, and experience cannot exist without matter. But what do we know? What do humans know first of all? We talked about it. They know that because they have experience, they think, therefore they are. Therefore, whatever we know about the universe is through the lens of experience. Do you see a problem there? Okay, can you imagine an object without experiencing it? In any way, experiencing it as a bird from above, from inside out, from third point, from first. Can you, well, from first you can't because then you are the subject, but can you experience an object, can you think of an object without imagining that you experience it in some way? There is a great cone, you probably know it. It has become a joke, of course, but it is very, very poignant, bringing materialism in an uncomfortable position, which is, if a tree falls down in the forest and no one hears it, does it make a sound? Well, the koan could as well be, if a tree falls down in the forest and no one can hear it, does it exist? If no one experiences something, where is that something? Well, you say in the outside world. How do you know there is an outside world? By which property? Could it be that you know that there is a world by your experience? There are many idealists that can talk about that matter better than me. I'm not sure about contemporary philosophers, academic philosophers. I know of a guy who does a great job, maybe the best analysis I have ever seen. His name is Bernardo Kastrup, with K I think, who writes books about that subject. He's excellent debunking materialism. And in the spiritual world, Rupert Spira is a guy that talks about consciousness being primary because, let's face it, you know of the outside world because you are. And you are because you are conscious, according to Rupert, because you experience, according to me. Okay, I think we have just debunked the most popular stance on the subject matter. If you want something better, a better explanation, please pause that video, go see a video, read something, I'm not sure. Wikipedia is a good source. Let's go to idealism. So, we know that matter can be the primary substance of existence. Why? Because we experience it, and without experiencing it, it has no properties. If there is no experience, there are no properties in the world. Let's see what idealism has to say. In philosophy, the term idealism identifies and describes metaphysical perspectives which assert that reality is indistinguishable and inseparable from perception and understanding, that reality is a mental construct closely connected to ideas. Idealist perspectives are in two categories: subjective idealism, which proposes that a material object exists only to the extent that a human being perceives the object, and objective idealism, which proposes the existence of an objective consciousness that exists prior to and independently of human consciousness, thus the existence of the object is independent of human perception. Okay, we have a few things to unpack here. First of all, why does a human only has consciousness? Why not birds, dogs, maybe trees? Who knows what consciousness is coming from? Who knows what's the correlation of this and consciousness? We've seen that we are experiencing in a solipsist manner, so we can't be sure. We can only be sure of what we experience right here and now, but we can extrapolate that consciousness is definitely something that other humans experience, other animals mostly, certainly, and maybe even beyond. And we don't know after a point. Where you put the line is on you. Okay, let's see about the hard problem of consciousness for a second. The hard problem of consciousness asks why and how humans have qualia, or phenomenal experiences. That's the hard problem of consciousness. Why is it hard? Because you can't prove that there is an outside world. So does that mean that idealism is the correct viewpoint? Let's think about it. Are we only mind? Is what we are mind? What does mind is? Is it a human property? Do dogs have mind? No. I'm pretty sure dogs do, but is it mind that produces all that stuff, and is it a mental property? Because if we touch a wood, if we touch wood or skin or anything, that's not exactly mental. It's experiential for sure, but it's not a mental thing. It's not here. You don't feel it here. You don't see your brain projecting this. This is very real, in a very experiential and material, but material in the sense of experiential matter. It's very real. It maybe you could call that it's maybe more real than a thought, because the thought comes and goes. So, what's the problem with idealism? The problem with idealism is when you say that it's mind, that everything is mind, okay? And whenever you think that idealism means that there is consciousness without objects. If there is consciousness without objects, it means that all there is consciousness. It abstracts experience from mind, and it makes a duality. Yes, even the most non-dual from the spiritual world teachers are very, very dualistic when they try to abstract consciousness from its content, and even saying from its content presupposes that consciousness and content are two different things. But you can't separate consciousness and its objects because they are the same thing, experience. Okay? So it's not about ideas, idealism. It's not about the mind, it's not about the human subject. Because there is no such thing as the human subject. There is no subject without experience. There are no ideas without experience. And any experience, not just mental experience, any experience. Does it correlate absolutely with matter? Yes. There is no consciousness without objects, therefore what we call matter, which is an experience, and what we call mind, we can't separate them, and we can't even imagine separating them. You can't imagine matter without property, without subjective property, and you can't imagine a subject without experience. You may say, well, in our deep sleep, you don't have an experience of deep sleep. There is no such thing. It's bloop bloop. If you feel you are sleeping, it's an experience. There are some more examples from spiritual guys, teachers, that try to prove that there is consciousness without objects. There is no such thing. I'm sorry. Anyway, so why idealism is wrong? Because it's not a mind that is having the experience. Okay, let's see one more definition. Panpsychism. In the philosophy of mind, panpsychism is the view that the mind, or a mind-like sub-aspect, is a fundamental and ubiquitous feature of reality. It's described as a theory that the mind is a fundamental feature of the world which exists throughout the universe. Okay, let's make it a little bit more down to earth. What panpsychism says, it says that every object has experience. It also says recent interest in the hard problem of consciousness and developments in the fields of neuroscience, psychology and quantum physics have revived interest in panpsychism in the 21st century. What that pretty much means is that you cannot prove that there is matter without experience. Of course, it talks about mind and human experience or experience. Yeah. What I take it means is that with every object there is experience. What's the problem with that? That it subtly, in a subtle manner, presupposes that there is object even without experience, only containing experience. There can be an object without experience. There can't be an object without experience, because object is a description of an experience, as idealists know so well. Well, what's the problem? We are still talking about mind. We are still separating, in a sense, the subjective experience and the objective world. And we say every object in this world has a soul. It's not a big problem for panpsychism. That's where I think we are headed in terms of humanity thinking. How could we make it so that we stop that divide that separation. Remember, if you accept that we can't have consciousness without objects and objects without consciousness, what does it leave us with? It leaves us with what there actually is: experience. Everything that there is, it must be in some form of experience, not consciousness, not awareness. Consciousness and awareness imply a function that can do on its own, or it can deal with objects. It's humanizing, it's anthropomorphizing, it dualizes consciousness, talking about it that way. It's maybe even the word does so. It's consciousness. There is no dual function there. There is only experience, and all there is experience, and all there is experience with objects. No experience without objects. Experience is objects. You can't know anything without objects. Objects of thought, objects of feeling, objects of matter. Everything is an object, and everything is an experience, and those two are the same damn thing. Yes, if we could have an outside world without experience, we could have materialism. If we could have a mind without objects of mentation, we could have idealism. If we could have souls inhabiting in an outside world, from inside out, everything in the objective world having a subjective experience, we could have regular vanilla panpsychism. But we can't have even that, because there is nothing external about this world, and there is not a soul inside of objects. It's not about having a subjective experience. It's not about having. That which we call subjective experience is all that there is. It may be from different points of view, yes, but all we have is those different points of view. Even if rocks experience, that's a point of view. But it's only an experience. There is an experience of a rock from outside. Maybe there is an experience of a rock from the inside. We don't know. And maybe there is an experience of a rock godlike. But it's still an experience. So why don't we call that experiential panpsychism? I think that's enough for today. See you next time.